Their storm is shut after this great god hath passed through it. And there is lamentation to those who are in this gateway when they hear this door close upon them. CP 169. E 169. The scenes and texts which illustrate the sixth division of the Tuat cannot be obtained in a complete state from the sarcophagus of Seti I, and records must therefore be had to other documents. In the following pages, however, the fragments of the texts and scenes from the sarcophagus are first given, and these are followed by the complete texts as they are found in the tomb of Ramesses VI, as published by Monsieur Lefebvre in the third volume of the Memoirs of the French Archaeological Mission at Cairo. The fragmentary texts and scenes from the sarcophagus of Seti I may be thus described. In the middle register are 1. Two of the four gods of the Tuat whose duty it is to tow along the boat of the sun through this division. Click to view. The serpent Set Martef. P. 170. 2. The god Tem, in the form of an aged man, with bent shoulders, and leaning on a staff. 3. A jackal-headed standard called Ra, to which are tied two enemies, who probably represent the damned. 4. The two UTCHATS, which appear to be keeping watch on the enemies. 5. A jackal-headed standard called Tem, with two enemies tied to it. 6. A mummied form, with projecting elbows, called AF-18. 7. A jackal-headed standard called KHEPR, with two enemies tied to it. 8. A mummied form, with projecting elbows, called F1. 9. A jackal-headed standard called Shu, with two enemies tied to it. 10. A mummied form, with projecting elbows, called Set. 11. A jackal-headed standard called Seb, with two enemies tied to it. 12. A mummied form, with projecting elbows, called Arca-SA. P. 171. 13. A jackal-headed standard called Sa, Osiris. 14. A mummied form, with projecting elbows, called RRKHER. 15. A jackal-headed standard called Herod. 16. A god holding a scepter called Shef HRA. The text which refers to the above-mentioned gods reads P. 172. Click to view. Fragment of the sixth division of the Tuat, from the cover of the sarcophagus of Seti. I. P. 173. Click to view. Fragment of the sixth division of the Tuat, from the cover of the sarcophagus of Seti. I. P. 174. This great god is towed along by the gods in the Tuat, and those who tow Ra along say, Rise up, O Dis. God, verily get thee forth to the standards of Seb. Tem saith unto the standards, Keep ward over the enemies, and bind ye fast those who shall be smitten. Hail ye gods who are behind the standards, and who are in the following of Seb, I give you the power to bind fast the enemies and to keep ward over the wicked. Let them not go forth from under your hands, let them not slip through your fingers. O enemies, ye are reckoned for slaughter according to the decree which was given to you by him and with his body, and created the Tuat by his members. He hath passed the decree for P. 175. Ye to be punished, and he taketh count of you and what ye do. The upper register is much mutilated on the cover of the sarcophagus of Seti I. On it we see 1. 5 upright male figures, each of whom holds a large loaf of bread, with both hands on his head. When the scene was complete, these figures were 12 in number, as we learn from the variants published by Champollion, one, and they are called HETEPTIKHEPERU. 2. 6 upright male figures, each of whom holds the feather of Mark with both hands on his head. When the scene was complete, these figures were 12 in number, and they are called AETUMANUKHERU Mark 2. The text which remains reads P. 176. These are they who have offered up incense to them. Click to view. Fragment of the cover of the sarcophagus of Seti I in the British Museum. Gods, in whose doubles have been washed, marred, they have been reckoned up and they are marked. P. 177. In the presence of the great God, who destroyeth iniquities, Osiris saith unto them, Ye are marked of marked. Be ye at peace because of what ye have done, O ye who are in the forms of those who are in my following, and who dwell in the house of him whose souls are holy. Live ye on what ye live there, and have the mastery over the cool waters which are in your lake. Click to view. A few years ago I purchased from a native of Luxor a fragment of the cover of the sarcophagus of Seti I CP. 176. This is now in the British Museum, number 29,948, and it gives the following. 1. 3 male figures, each of which bears a loaf on his head. 2. The following fragmentary text, their bread cakes are ordered for P. 178. And by their gods, their cow in their hands, and they enter into their abodes of the pylon which destroyeth its gods. The god Sa Osiris saith unto them, Your bread shall be to you from that which cometh forth from your mouths, MEHETEPTIKHEPERU. In the lower register are 1. 5 male figures, who were occupied in tending very large ears of corn. When the scene was complete, these figures were 12 in number, and they were called those who work about the plants of grain in the fields of the Tuat. 2. A man holding a sickle. He is one of the 7 reapers, of which this section of the scene originally consisted. The text which relates to those who tend the grain reads P. 180. They perform the works in connection with the grain, and they embrace the god of wheat NEPRA, which is eaten. Their grain becometh glorious in the land through the night of Ra, when he appeareth, and sendeth forth heat, and maketh his way by them. The Lord of joy of heart saith unto them, Let your grain be glorious, and let the young shoots of your grain germinate, and let your offerings be for Ra. Ra. Let Nefer germinate, and let Sa Osiris be the source of food of the gods in the Tuat. Amenti. Behold, in the fields of the Tuat, they gather together their grain, and they say unto Ra, Let the fields of the Tuat be green with young plants. May Ra shine upon the members of Sa Osiris. When thou dost shine, the young plants come into being, O great God, thou creator of the grain. Their offerings of food are of grain, and their drink offerings are of chesa, and their libations are made with cool water. Offerings are made unto them on the earth of the grain of the fields of the Tuat. E. 181. Of the reapers it is said, These are they who have their scythes, and who reap the grain in their fields. Ra saith to them, Take ye your scythes, and reap ye your grain, for it is granted to you your habitations, and to join yourselves to be in the circle of the hidden forest. Hail to you, O ye reapers! Their food is of bread, and their drink is of chesa, and their libations are made with cool water. Offering